Hi, in this video we're going to go over how to understand your Hydralister settings. The first thing you'll want to do is go to the Hydralister homepage and click on Launch Hydra. From there, you'll click on the Settings US if you're selling on the United States platform of eBay, or the Settings UK tab if you're selling on the UK platform. And we're going to go over all of these settings. The first setting is for quantity. This is the default quantity that you want to list per item. If you want each item you list to have a quantity of 2, for example, enter 2 here. Listing duration. Select good till canceled, GTC, or select 30-day, etc. Special note, if you're listing good till canceled listings and you're using SKU Grid for repricing, be sure that you have an eBay store and you have the out of stock option turned on in your eBay account. This is an example of where to find the out of stock option in eBay. You'll go to your eBay account, go to My eBay, then click on the Account tab. You're going to go to Site Preferences, and under Selling Preferences, there will be an option here if you have an eBay store that says Use the out of stock option. Check this to yes and then select Apply. Now we're going back to the Settings US or Settings UK tab. The next thing that you'll want to enter is your location. This is very important. eBay will not let you list if you do not have a location filled in. Enter your city, or you can enter something like continental or multiple locations, whatever you feel comfortable with, but something needs to be entered here. The next field is your postal code or zip code. Leave this blank if you have the location filled in, or you can enter a zip code. The next option is for your country. Select United States if you're selling on the US platform, or United Kingdom if you're selling on the UK platform. Next, you'll enter your PayPal email address that's associated with your eBay account. This is very important. You want to be able to collect your payments. Next is your dispatch time in days. This is also known as handling time. So whatever your default handling time is, enter that here. Usually 3 to 5 days is typically sufficient in most cases. Returns accepted. You're going to mark yes or no whether or not you accept returns. Returns accepted within days. This is the number of days that you allow for your return policy. A lot of people either do a 14 or 30-day return policy. The longer the better with eBay. Return shipping paid by. Select buyer or seller. Typically you'll choose buyer here. Refund option. Choose if you're going to give money back or exchange, or no refund. Restocking fee. This will only work if you have hassle-free returns turned on in your eBay account. That usually doesn't work well for dropshippers though, but if you have that turned on, you can select a restocking fee to be deducted from your buyer's refund automatically. Otherwise, you will state your restocking fee, if you want to, within your description in your template, and manually deduct the restocking fee from any refunds that you issue. Next is the sales tax flat rate if you're not using the tax table. Do you currently charge sales tax on all items sold? Legally, you're only supposed to charge tax in the states that you have registered your business in. You'll need to consult your local Department of Revenue for more information on that. But if you charge an overall flat rate for tax, enter that number here, otherwise leave it blank. The next option is to use the sales tax table. Again, same thing with the previous comment. If you are charging tax and you have the sales tax table set up in eBay, then you can select yes here. If you don't have the sales tax table set up in eBay, then change this to no. These weights and measurements, length, depth, etc., you can leave these blank. If Hydra can read that from the supplier information, then it will automatically fill those in on your listings. Global shipping. If you have the global shipping option turned on in your eBay account and use it for international sales, then select yes. This will only apply to those selling on the United States platform. The UK does not have global shipping. All items will attempt to go over with this setting checked, but if the item is ineligible for global shipping based on its category, then global shipping will not apply. You will still need to figure out if the item is ineligible based on its weight or length, and if so, you need to turn global shipping off for that item once it's listed in your eBay account. Otherwise, if you do not use global shipping, then leave this set to no. Shipping service. In the United States, your default here is going to be UPS Ground. When that's listed to your eBay account, it will show as standard shipping. If you're listing on the UK platform, you can select other courier 3 days, and that will also come over as standard. Shipping cost. If you charge by default a certain amount for shipping, or if you charge zero, enter zero here. If you charge a flat rate for shipping, enter that number. Additional costs, you can leave that blank. Free shipping. Select yes here if you allow free shipping for your items as a default. Otherwise, change this to no. Your final selling price formula. Vendor tax percentage. Enter the number for the amount of tax that you want to account for in your selling price. Tax rates typically vary from 5 to 9.5%. This is optional, but if you prefer to have tax figured into your selling price, enter a number that you're comfortable with or leave it blank. Margin percentage. This is the profit margin that you want to receive from your items after all fees, possible tax, and amount of the item from the supplier are factored in. For example, if the item costs $100 at the supplier and you enter a margin percentage of 12, you can expect a profit of $12.5 or $12.50 for a $100 item. Fixed margin, dollars. This is the dollar amount for any profit that you would like to receive per item in addition to the margin percentage that's mentioned here. You can leave this blank to not add any additional profit that you would like to receive per item. Minimum margin. This is the dollar amount that you would like to receive at a minimum, or the lowest amount possible that you're willing to accept for profit per item. So for example, if you listed a $10 item and had a 12% profit margin, you could expect a profit of $1.20. However, you might say to yourself, well, I don't really want to make $1.20 on an item. I want at least $3 for every item that I sell. If that's the case, then you would enter the number 3 as the minimum margin that you're willing to accept. That way, if you sell a cheaper item at a minimum, regardless of what your profit margin is, you would receive approximately $3 or whatever minimum you specify here. You can enter the number that you're comfortable with. PayPal fees. This is the percentage that PayPal charges for each transaction. This is always 2.9%. In most cases, there's some people that have slightly higher PayPal fees, but in general, they're 2.9%. PayPal fees dollar amount. This is the additional transaction fee that PayPal charges for each transaction. This is always 0.30 cents. Your eBay fees. This is the amount that you are charged by eBay for final value fees. This will always be either 9 or 10. eBay store owners are charged 9% for final value fees. If you don't have a store, then you're charged 10% for final value fees. Enter 9 or 10 here, depending on your situation. By entering these values here, it creates a final price formula or selling price formula for your items. They will be marked up according to this formula before they are listed. If you're using SKU Grid for tracking, as a default, make these values here the same as in your SKU Grid settings. If they're different, each item will have an override formula, making it difficult for you to make mass changes in SKU Grid. This will be discussed in more detail in a SKU Grid video. You can test your selling price formula by clicking on the Test Formula button. Once you do that, you're going to see a pop-up. That pop-up is going to have a box here, and by default it shows $100 because that's easy math if you work with 100. But let's assume that the starting price at the supplier is $100 for the item. You would click OK. Then it's going to show you that based on the formula that you've created here with these values, if you had an item that you're selling that's $100 at the supplier, Hydra Lister would mark your item up to $138.91 to give you an approximate margin of 12% profit, and factoring in all the fees and whatever tax that you had here. So that would allow you to walk away with a 12%, or basically $12 for every $100. Next, we're going to set up your listing template. Okay, you have a choice of using no template, using your own custom HTML, or selecting one of Hydra's pre-made templates. If you're using a blank template or your own custom template, be sure to insert the merge field tags, they appear right here, where you want information from your supplier to appear. So for example, product description, you would have to use two left curly brackets, the word product underscore description, and then two right curly brackets. Okay, so you would place that in here where you want that to appear. The same goes for title, feature bullets. This picture here, there's a code to insert the main image from the supplier, and you would place those within your template where you want them to appear. If you use any of Hydra's default templates, they already have these tags in there, so you wouldn't have to worry about it. This is more if you're looking to modify that template, or if you're using your own or a blank template. If you leave these things out, these merge field tags, if you leave them out, Hydra will not pull the supplier information into your listing. You also have the option of selecting a predefined template. There's a drop box right here that says Use Predefined Template. Select a template from the drop-down and click on Switch to Editor to preview it. So here I selected the Kali Basic Orange template. You'll see a bunch of HTML code and you're wondering, well, how do I edit this information? You basically scroll down and there will be a button on the right that says Switch to Editor. Once you do that, you'll see a preview of your template and what it looks like, and you can make any necessary changes that you would like. So all you'd have to do is highlight your ID here. You would highlight that and type over it. And then again, you just want to make sure that your merge tags are included in the body of the description. And like I said before, when you use a template that Hydra provides, they're already included. So that's all you have to do if you use one of Hydra's templates. You just basically enter in your store name at the top, and that's it. Next, we're going to talk about getting your developer keys. The first key that you'll need to get if you're using SKUGrid is your SKUGrid remote key. You need to click the Get Here link. It's best that you're already logged into SKUGrid before clicking this button. If you're already logged in, you'll be taken right to the Remote Import tab in SKUGrid. If you're not automatically routed there, I'm going to show you what that looks like. You would click this link that says Get Here. It would take you to log into SKUGrid. So you would enter your SKUGrid username and password. Click on Settings. And then click on Remote Import over to the right. Once you're on the Remote Import screen, you click the button that says Generate New. A SKUGrid remote key will appear here. It's going to have SKU remote underscore. It's going to have your username right here, another underscore followed by a number. You're going to highlight and copy this code and then save settings. Next, you'll come back to Hydra and you'll paste in the SKU remote key that you just got from SKU, and that's it. Doing this allows Hydra to integrate with SKU effortlessly.
Okay, so
and
next
automatically pass information about your listings into SKU after they are listed.
This link will take
In
you
this
to
way,
eBay
you'll be able to
obtain your
automatically
developer
track and
keys.
reprice as soon as your item is listed with no additional effort on your
These are
part.
essential in order to give Hydralister access and permission to list items into your account. Click the link that says Get Here. You'll be taken to a page that states, please click here to be redirected to eBay for authentication. You'll click that link. But first, you'll see a little pop-up that says you're being redirected. All unsaved settings will be lost, which is why I told you to save after putting in your SKU remote key. You click OK. And then you'll see a link here that says please click here to be redirected to eBay for authentication. Click that link. It's going to take you to eBay to log in. You'll enter in your username and password and click sign in. Next, you'll be granting application access for Hydralister. It's going to ask you for permission. You're going to click agree, and then you're going to authenticate on the following screen. Once you're done with that, it's going to tell you that you can close this screen. And once you close this screen and return to Hydra, you'll see that your eBay keys have automatically been filled in. Next, you need to decide whether or not you're going to turn on export compare items. If you have this set to yes, what's going to happen is SKU, in addition to passing on your listing information, Hydra is going to also pass on your eBay link to go into the compare items field in SKU. This will basically help display an estimated profit on the SKU, and I will show you what I mean by that. This is an example in SKU. If you have compare item URLs filled in, they will appear here. It's going to be a link to your eBay item. It's going to show your current price on eBay, which is also known as compare price. It's going to show if you're charging for shipping here. And it's going to show whether or not your eBay listing is active or inactive. If inactive, it's going to say none. If active, it's going to say yes. I'm sorry, if active, it's going to say in stock. And what that does, having the compare item URL filled in, what that does is basically it allows SKU to display what your estimated profit will be. It's merely, the estimated profit is merely a difference between your selling price based on your compare item link minus your supplier price right here and your eBay and PayPal fees. That's what will display here in the estimated profit column. If you don't have compare item URLs filled in, like I don't have them filled in here, then my estimated profit on the grid will always be a negative number. That's okay. It doesn't really matter. This is just a display for your information. The repricing is still being done based off of this column here. And as you notice, it still has the eBay links over here showing me my current price on eBay and whether or not it's in stock on eBay. So really, compare item is not necessarily a requirement, but if you would like it filled in so that you can display an estimated profit on the grid, then you would want to have export compare items turned to yes. If you don't really care, then you can leave it turned to no. There's a few reasons why you wouldn't want it turned on. Some people do because they like looking at the estimated profit on the grid. Other people prefer not to have it on because basically every time SKU is looking at your item, looking at this link, it's going to increase the number of views you have on your item, but those views aren't actually coming from a person. So they don't want inflated views on their item for obvious reasons. And also, it also costs an additional credit with SKU every time SKU is looking at this compare item link. So it also helps saving credits if you have it turned off. But keep in mind, if you don't have it on, your estimated profit on the grid is going to be negative because it's like subtracting your supplier cost from zero. So it's always going to be a negative number. But don't worry about that. It doesn't really matter.
you're still going to get the profit that you want based on this column here. So once you decide whether or not to turn on compare items, all you do is select export compare items, yes or no, and then you save. And here we have a quick note for our UK sellers. The setup is exactly the same. The only differences are the default shipping carrier. As mentioned before, if you're in the UK, as a default, you might want to select other carrier 3 days. The other difference is the currency. So because the currency conversions are different, your margins will actually be a little higher here, and that's it. Other than that, the setup is exactly the same. So congratulations, you're now ready to list with Hydralister. Thank you for watching.